Everybody. So I am unlisted right now because I am feeling like a really powerful surge of information come through, which I'm wanting to remain clear with. Please feed back to me in as far as the clarity of the transmission and the message. So I'm going off of the title I received in Divine Recognition, that with the energies accelerating, more and more people are congregating, coming together, and or aligning on a certain frequency, which is this of divine recognition is a soulful recognition of one's soul, and that's the entirety of the soul from the point of origin, which can trace back to multiple universes. So your birth point can be oftentimes remembered, traced back to the birth of this universe, but there can also be memory beyond this specific universe. Now, as we're having the divine recognitions, we recognize there's a frequency, a mastermind, an energetic constellation that's being created via the alignment of these tribes. That's why we have the internet for the awakening. It's because we're all scattered around the earth. So we're not necessarily meeting in the physical yet. We're meeting via the frequency we're emitting on the internet. And that's assisting us to have these activations, awakenings, soul remembrances, and then that's triggering the cellular memory bank of the beingness that we are, and that's helping us to rise. Part of the recognition in this soul tribe is the empathic ability to discern and also alchemize the body's cellular imprinting. So we're now really truly beginning to activate and awaken our galactic essence, our soul essence, and also the mission, part of the essence of that sense of mission that so many of us have here in the biofeedback of the pain of the earth, the suffering of the earth, via the seeding of separation consciousness many ages ago. There's timelines wrapping up in the 26,000, 13,000, 6,000, 2,000, and in my own timeline field, the 500-year karmic cycle. So that's usually to do with your soul's the times that you incarnated here on earth, and or that your soul had a recognition of a desire to incarnate via the energetic resonance of your own soul's evolution. Recognize that that the earth field here is in service as well to the universe. And so the earth really is a sort of experiment / generation station, and or a place where souls grow and learn and expand. So within that, because we share so honestly here, recognize that part of the deep waves, there's a few different angles to the deep waves of feeling that we're experiencing. One, it has to do with the biofeedback in the invisible beyond the veil, of more and more of the humanity here having awakenings, having spontaneous awakenings, beginning to see through the veil, things that happened to us years and years ago, right? And so as they're having that awakening, there's a heartfelt pain, suffering, confusion, what the actual is happening. And so as we're walking through the 3D reality, our field is then feeling all of that in the collective. So that's a huge piece why having self-compassion is super duper important. Of course, we know as well, like I shared recently about that trigger, we're still being triggered. So the triggering is helping us to clear out deeper aspects of wounding and shame, not enoughness, unworthiness, just any of the remaining density cells that we're carrying from perhaps this specific incarnation, and potentially ancestral wounding. But the ancestral wounding is ultimately being fully cleared, because it's like the ancestral wisdom is now here. We wouldn't have access to the ancestral wisdom, nor would they be apparent to us if we hadn't cleared it. If we haven't cleared it, we're not aware of it, right? So that part of the clearing of these energies is us becoming more aware. So that's part of this, like, activate and come online, you know, activate and step into your purpose, activate and land, anchor the wisdom that you're here to birth. Because the unity piece, the infinity symbol aspect of our consciousness here, is that we are here to embody our true soul's essence through the remembrance of all of the various timelines, and at the same time, this is us anchoring through the love of compassion. And so there's a sovereignty there. In our soul's tribe, we're allowed to be fully functioning in who we are, in our authenticity, in our truth, because there's that such mutual respect, and also the deeper knowing and understanding that the energy of unity is one, the law of one. Ultimately, that's the divine law. And so as more and more of us fully anchor that presence awareness here on earth, the veils of delusion, the veils of distortion, the veils of darkness through the ages are now getting super duper thin. They're being lifted, essentially. And it's one and the same thing. Our divine recognition and anchoring the energy here is also the veils being lifted. Okay. So I'm just hearing star beings activate. Trust the soul's guidance, whatever it is you're whenever being guided. You know, that's kind of the stuff as well. Increasingly through the empowerment and arrival of soul tribe members here, I know in these last accelerated few weeks, even, I've been able to more anchor in that boundary setting. But that's also been the biofeedback of becoming more of who I am, to share and channel more of the truth of my soul's expression. That will then trigger on and affect others and activate others. Intuition is proper honed. Psychic abilities are increasingly coming online. I keep seeing this like Indian chief figure, but he's like in a almost like a hollow earth, like a shaman type of energy. There is an arrival of more and more beings of light here as well in the ethereal. And this is the star systems coming back home kind of thing, and or coming back to assist us in the Great Awakening. So because the veils are getting so thin, and I said yesterday, but again, it was a super choppy share. It's about to get real loopy on Earth. Loopy, the infinity symbol. There's always this co-creative spiral dynamic in infinity loop, but because it's accelerating, and hence why we need each other and continue to share and or all of this. It's like the feeling in the body breaking down the construct of that 3D separation consciousness is what's accelerating. And so the loopier it gets is more just the fact that the control pattern, the mind of that 3D construct is being blown open, it's being blown apart. And on the physical level, again, that's why sleep and rest and meditate and just stay on flow and stay in your presence field. Like literally that is the most important thing right now. Like stay in truth with the intuition. It's absolutely critical. At the same time, you can't get it wrong, okay? Like that's another, I guess, like the polarity of all this. Like it's not, it feels like everything is ramping up, but then another message that I'm getting knocked with is like you can't get it wrong. It's like it's done already. Like birth points are being retraced. Timelines remembered, and again, like star people are coming here to assist, which is awakening our own soul's galactic imprinting. Hence, like more of our skills and or awarenesses of our different connection to the star people, the star races. And then that's when also we're gonna have more of these gifts and insights coming online. It's all through the heart. And then through the divine recognition in our soul tribes, what we're finding is this sort of like yeah, just the strength and clarity in being who we are, basically. And divine recognition is also about divine memory. And they're again having these like king, like activations, as it were, on the cellular level. So how does that, what is that? What the fuck is she talking about? So it's like when we have goosebumps in our body, shivers, when we have like a spontaneous memory in imagination, but it's like visceral, so it makes us cry. I had a memory last night where I saw an aspect of a previous universe that I lived in, being veiled in darkness, consumed by darkness, like the seeding of separation consciousness. And in a moment, my unique individual soul could choose. And so I had that memory of like losing the people that I'd been traveling with for many ages, and falling back into like a wormhole, as it were, to come into this universe. And upon that memory, it was just like this very profound sadness of loss. And yet, with your assistance, it was like waves of forgiveness, waves of the remembrance to allow this benevolent forgiveness of all interactions on this earth plane, like a deep reverence for all, all the connections I've ever made. And like the trigger points, regardless of it being positive or negative, just feeling this profound compassion and love and forgiveness for all encounters, because I recognize the karmic outworking, as it were, like why shitty things happen to us, basically. And in truth, with an awakened perspective, we can transform all of that into the light, and allow it to assist us in our soul's evolution. And or we just loop back into the patterning and go back into darkness. But those of us aligning here recognize that's also a soul's choice. That's a choosing in the here and now present moment. So I think that's it for now. I'm going to crack on with my like 3D reality work. And thank you so much, those of you who've reached out and want to buy some of the online courses. I'm super chuffed about that. Really helpful. You know, I feel this sense of me of feeling really connected and in peace and love and in trust mode. So you who've been with me these last few days and weeks know the situation that I'm in, and yet I will, thank you for those of you sending in donations and appreciating the work that I do. Thank you. Buying books, by the way, Roots, I'll send you the book when I get back. Just FYI. But I'm having this really deep trust. I don't know exactly how the next couple of days are going to unfold. I will always love and appreciate you, regardless of you sending in, money to the channel and to All to Love. And yet I'm not in a space of, needy desperation. So let's just see what happens. The energies are definitely mounting, and it still feels in the void, but I'm hearing things like it will shock and delight you. And there's such divinity that I'm experiencing in my alignments right now that it's like almost difficult to go into the fear, and yet I'm acutely aware of when I do, and I might get triggered, I might trigger myself into this like, oh my God, what's happening? It's not really that real anymore. Anywho, I feel free to reach out, and of course, I feel quite open. Like if you guys want to send voice messages to the email account, you're more than welcome to. I'll endeavor to respond. What I really appreciate, especially for those of you who can't quite afford my guided price points, which are coming down ever so slightly, if you're wanting to send an email or send a message or have a little noodle session of any kind, just make a donation. I understand that Patreon's there, but I'm not guided to Patreon. I don't feel in resonant flow with having more different accounts to do more stuff. But people who do email and kind of do reach out, and I can sense like wanting to have little noodle sessions and stuff about where you're at. If that's the case, then just make a donation. You know, I really appreciate the people who have that much respect for my time and energy, because it warrants it at this point. I absolutely need to have those boundaries in place. So unless there's a direct line, right? Which, in fairness, nobody no, there's like 3 people in my life who have that. So 3, yeah, my mom and like two besties basically. So anywho, thanks guys. It's happening. There's some waves and fires. Also, that was a message that I got yesterday or 2 days ago. Waves and fires. And bearing in mind, I don't watch the news, right? I have barely even been on the social media other than to broadcast things. And then I receive an email from the Mystic Mama site, which is like one of those astro insight things. And lo and behold, I read up that there's like fires happening in the west coast of America. And, 2 days prior, I'm getting the message of waves and fires. So, stand in your light, stand in your power, and absolutely, share your truth with the world. It's time. I love you guys. Peace.